Yes, people. Before we get into anything, we'll be back after this short little intro. Euro 2020 final. England versus Italy. The Three Lions versus the mighty Azzurri. One game from glory. Welcome to Albert J TV. There you have it, people. Euro 2020 final. Wow. If I'm being honest, I didn't think when we started this process with doing ourselves on June 11th, we would be at this point with the England in the final. Yes, it is not a dream. England are playing in the final tomorrow at 8 p.m. But before we get into it with our amazing guests and my co-host, let's hit that intro. Yes, people, back again. Match preview time. Euro 2020 final, like I said. The Three Lions against the mighty Azzurri. England versus Italy. Wow, people. But before we come to my co-host, let's drop to the people in the chat already. See you in a bit, Holly. Let's see. That's a giveaway of some of the guests that are coming on. But guys, you can see it down along the bottom of the screen. Follow my esteemed guests on their Twitter handles and don't even think about it. But Souls, we are here at this point. I must admit, sort of started the June 11th doing this Euro 2020 content series. I did not think I would be doing a match preview final involving England. So, bruv, how you feeling? And welcome aboard again, man.
I always knew, you know what, England are going to get to this point someday, and it's just come now. So, you know what? We're in the final. Last time you were in a major tournament final at Wembley, what happened? It came home and it stayed home. So you know what? That's what we're going to do. Bring the Italians on. I ain't eat any Italian food for a week. Yeah, wartime. Yeah. Like, you know what? McGregor's fighting tonight, Sunday night. He says it as well. It's war. It's wartime, people. UFC into the evening into England. We've got to bring it, man. Look, we're in a final. Anything can happen. But you know what? I don't care. The vibe for me is it's coming home until it's not. That's what I've been saying, and I'm going to stick to it.
Well said. Audio listeners, this will be going on my Spotify and Anchor when you listen to this over again. People, Instagram and Twitter details are going along the bottom of the screen, and to double check myself at the top of the screen as well. But if you didn't know what to do before, you should know by now what to do. And there you have it once again, people. Smash that like button, subscribe to the channel. And like I said, follow my esteemed guests. We've got the first two strikefuls coming into the house tonight to talk about England's historic moment, getting into a final. First, we're going to introduce Keith, my bro. Bring him in, Souls. Keith!
Good evening. How are we doing?
Good, man. We've got to this point at the tournament, and I still can't believe it. It's amazing, Keith. It's amazing.
It is.
But we're going to come to you very, very shortly to kick this off. But we're going to bring in the second striker to come in. Lottie.
Evening, guys. How we doing?
Not bad, man. Well, I'm actually feeling all right in terms of the final. I must admit it. The sort of one that doing the live stream with Soulsy, my bro, and RJ Wills. Yeah, we've had great feedback from the clip that I put out. But yeah, it got heated. But it was difficult to sink in. I think as a nation, I don't know if you guys might agree, Lottie and Keith, but we're not used to this. So to talk about England in the final, it's surreal. It really is. And I think you guys would have seen it, thought of the, how can I put it nicely? The non-English press. Very salty. Very, very, very salty. I've seen a lot being said. England are divers. The football's boring. It's this, it's that. But you know what? We're playing in the final tomorrow against the mighty Azzurri. So it's amazing how disliked England are. I think it's it really brought it home to me actually, sort of 24 hours afterwards. But it is what it is. So yeah, kicking off the show. I'm going to start a bit differently, really. I'm going to start with the guy I think has made the biggest impact on this England side. There was talks about him, well, amongst the England fans, should I say, or sections of England fans. Not sure whether he should have a starting place in the team. I'm going to come to Keith first. It's an amazing story, really, with this guy. If I can find him, there he is, Raheem Sterling. Before I come to you, mate, sort of the bad press he used to get, having to do obviously racism and just I look at his career from Liverpool to Man City, and he's also his England career where he broke into the England side in 2014. I think his first tournament was raw talent. Just didn't seem to have the, how can I put it, sort of the kind of the backing of the England fans in terms of when he pulled on an England shirt. But we turn to tomorrow, my friend, and he has been. People talk about leadership at our football club in terms of Arsenal. To me, the other night, I said it to Souls and Ryan, particularly during extra time, I thought he was exceptional. He was actually unbelievable. He has been the difference in this tournament. How do you feel about Sterling's performances this tournament and as a whole, mate?
I think Sterling has always been a divisive figure. You mentioned when he moved from Liverpool to Man City and people lost their minds over that. Yeah. People have always had really, really strong opinions on him, whether it be in an England shirt, the tattoo that he had from the last World Cup.
Yes.
All of it. I'll just explain right. Every time England play, I put this tweet out saying about no end product. Now, there's a backstory to this. In the Croatia game, me and Lottie were tweeting each other and just saying no end product, no end product. Then bang, he went and scored. And jokingly, we said, right, we need to do this every single game because he might just get us the winning goal in the final. So when I put that tweet out tomorrow, don't at me, everyone, because it's tongue in cheek, it's funny. There's a very, very good reason for it. But to start with, I'll hold my hands up. I had reservations about him. Yeah. I had reservations about Kane's inclusion, reservations about the manager's tactics. And I've got to hold my hands up because here we are. We're in a final. We've only conceded one goal. And, we've scored 10 on the way. And I'm just absolutely buzzing for tomorrow. Incredibly nervous. But Raheem Sterling, I think he could well be player of the tournament. I don't think anyone else. There's a few players have stood out. Nobody really for Italy. They've got a whole load of players who have been really, really good. But he's probably been our standout player, I'd have to say. And full credit to him. This geezer's got so much resilience. It's not even true. He's such mental strength. So
well said. Well said. He is. He just Lottie, before I come to you, I'm going to sort of ask you about Sterling, but I'm going to bring you on to sort of the next guy we're going to talk about. And Souls, you think of a question, I'm sure you want to fire at Keith and Lottie. What's your sort of thoughts on Sterling? Before you sort of give your thing, I said this sort of on my review show with Gav Mac. Big up to Gav. I sort of kind of was struggling to get my head around England getting to a final, to be honest. But seen a lot of England, but some of the stuff I saw sort of media-wise, Calvin Phillips with his auntie's name on the back of his England shirt. You saw the young girl who got the shirt from Mason Mount. I heard this amazing story about the young guy whose girlfriend got him tickets and he couldn't go to the semi because he was a bone marrow donor. But apparently they've sorted that for him to get tickets. So that's to go to the finals. That's fantastic. The school kids reciting certain football songs. If that can't get you the hairs to the back of your neck stand up, I don't know what will as an England fan. But yeah, sort of touching on that and sort of your thoughts about Raheem Sterling.
Yeah, no, I completely agree with what Keith says when it comes to Sterling. I mean, his last 15 goals have been me tweeting no end product, and then it goes in just to shut me up. So it's going to continue. I'm not even joking with you. The last 15 goals I've watched him, and it's worked. But yeah, no, he's carried us all the way through. I'm just so impressed with him at the moment. He's absolutely phenomenal. To put into words properly, it would take me a few minutes to think about it, if I'm honest with you. But he's just been an incredible. His movement, his passing. I know he's been incredibly unlucky and not getting some of those shots straight in the net, but he's been great. And in terms of I think I saw like a halftime thing with him, and apparently from his secondary school, you can see the stadium, and he always used to say, "I'm going to play there one day," and now he's just living the dream. Can you imagine going to school that close to the stadium and then going there to play in this tournament
100%.
where we could potentially win it? It'd be phenomenal.
Go on, sorry, keep going, sorry.
No, I was going to continue on to the media stuff. With that, all of that is just incredible. It's after the last 18 months we've all had with the lockdowns and everything else, and it's just nice to see everyone coming together.
Well
Domestic stuff aside,
well said.
All the politics out the window, everyone's just come together to support this team, and it's just absolutely incredible.
Yeah, Lottie, staying with you, I'm going to talk about this guy. I put out a tweet maybe yesterday, even today as well. I mean, I'm one of them guys. I'm not afraid to be emotional, show my emotional side. Contrary to what maybe a couple of exes might have said, but that's another story. But it'll be difficult for me to sort of contain myself if this guy should start tomorrow. And Lottie, you see me say it, Keith, you see me say it, Souls, RJ, the boys. It kind of and I felt strongly about it in the sense of people moan about, burn out, young, what if he gets injured? And I'm like, hold on a minute. Like, we've actually got a player at Arsenal, not just to bench warm for England in a major tournament, but to make an impact. Souls touched upon the other day, he's ahead of the likes of Foden and Sancho. And I've struggled to not have a tear if he starts tomorrow. Just because I love him personally, and just obviously plays for our club at club level. But it'd be a proud moment to see him come out tomorrow and play for England. Yes, he's got his Nigerian heritage, which I'm extremely proud of as my Nigerian origin myself. But yeah, Lottie, it'll be emotional to see him walk out of England tomorrow if he starts.
Oh no, definitely. I mean, name me one Arsenal fan that doesn't love him. We absolutely adored us. He carried us all season. We knew what he was bringing to this tournament, regardless what of all these other teams fans are saying. I mean, I think I was talking to my personal trainer yesterday, and he's a Tottenham fan, and I've never heard him give a compliment on an Arsenal player. And the last few weeks, we've actually got along and we haven't been arguing. So, and he actually said the other day, and he said, "Saka, what a player!" And I just looked at him like, "Are you feeling all right? I mean, what? He's in an England shirt,
yeah,
And for that, it's just like, I love this game. It just brings everyone together. But for him to start tomorrow, I mean, it'd just be absolutely incredible. He's 19 years old.
Yeah, unbelievable.
He's humble and he plays like he's 27. I'm not complaining. He needs to start tomorrow.
You know what?
Sancho can sit on the bench.
You make a good point before I bring in Souls in, because you want to pose a few questions before my next guest comes on. But the thing with him as well is the England players love him. Like I said, the way Luke Shaw speaks about him, I know Jack Grealish and him get on very, very well. And I'm sure he's like that with the rest of the England squad as well. It's infectious. But Souls, bringing you in, mate, what do you want to pose to the amazing panel?
I just want to quickly say, you know what?
Go on, bro.
I've had a lot of arguments with a lot of fans before the tournament about Bukayo Saka and why on earth is he in this team? And you know what? Your players can watch him on the bench, man. He's telling you on the pitch why he's starting every single game. This is the thing, right? We know what Saka can bring. Yeah. Now, do you know what? My response to all of them was, he'll show you on the pitch. I don't have to back the guy. That's how confident I am. He's going to go out there and perform. I don't have to say it. He'll tell you himself. And that's what he's done. He's doing us proud. And you know what? I've always used the phrase with Raheem, the dream, Sterling, not only because he's selling us the dream, he's achieving his own dreams. And like for a kid to be looking at Wembley and being like, one day I'm going to play there, he could actually go all the way and actually win something at Wembley for England. For the stick he's gotten, like, how amazing would that be? Just turn around and go, you know what, I won you something. He is the player of the tournament. Name me an individual who has had this much impact for their national team this tournament. It's not about who's had the best team. It's about who's made the impact themselves. And I guess what my question will be to the panel is, it's going to be the big old question of, for or 5 at the back against Italy? And I think that's why I want to ask you guys. And if it is, what would you like to see start? So if it's a 5-back, who do you want to see start in that 5? And if it is a 4-back, who would you like to see as a 4-back? And I'll go to Keith on that one first.
Okay. Originally, I was all for a back 5 because I've always thought Walker fits better into a back 5.
Yeah.
And his distribution at the start of the tournament was a bit sketchy, and I was really worried about him. But his recovery, it was almost like he was better without the ball than he was with it. But the way he played against Denmark, I was really, really impressed. And I'm a big fan of, if something works, don't tinker around too much. You know, Italy, they've stuck 4-3-3 all the way through. I really don't see them changing. The spine of the team, especially the defensive spine, Bonucci, Chiellini, Donnarumma, Jorginho, they've been there pretty much all the way through. Chiellini's had a few injuries. But I think we probably just need to stick exactly the same as we started against Denmark. Much as I love Grealish, I don't think he should start. Southgate doesn't seem to trust him defensively, and we don't know how this game's going to pan out. But I would go back 4, stick with what we had against Denmark. I was 100% safe with Jordan Pickford before Denmark. Then I'm a little bit more nervous about him for tomorrow after there was a couple of sketchy decisions that he made with his distribution. But on the whole, I can't remember who said it. Someone made a really, really good point. Pickford's one of those players. He's better for his country than he is for his team. Yeah. It might actually been you, Albert. I'm not sure. I remember hearing it somewhere.
Georgina on Cannon.
That's it. It was G, yeah. And it's so true. He's a different animal when he plays for England. So I'd keep everything exactly the same. 4-2-3-1, exactly the same personnel that started against Denmark, and Starboy to get the winner. And then you will see a grown man cry. I'll probably cry regardless, whatever the result is. It's like opposite ends of the spectrum for me, and I've got no control over those emotions. There's like these lads on the pitch are totally in control of, my emotional well-being come about 11 o'clock Sunday night. But I'll stick. Definitely not twist.
I tweeted it earlier as well. I said, I'm telling you, if England bring this home, there will be tears on the stream.
Absolutely.
So, without doubt. I'll bet just wait. It's going to get really emotional.
Yeah, so, I'm the same as Albert. I don't care admitting it. I'm an emotional guy anyway. And there will be so much emotion tomorrow night regardless.
So, same question to you. Like, what do you reckon we should be doing? Because obviously what Southgate seems to do in this tournament is match formations, not like for like, but Germany, for example, who played that sort of 3-5-back formation, he matched them to obviously keep their wing backs back. And obviously we've seen Italy play that 4-3-3 in different variations, but that's kind of what they stick with. What do you reckon Southgate will do? What do you want to see going forward?
I'd be quite happy not to change the back 4 at all. They've all had phenomenal run. There's not been many changes to it apart from Mings since Maguire came back. But I'm quite happy with the. Sorry, guys. I'm quite happy with the way it is, if I'm honest. There were again, as Keith said, there's been a few odd moments where they've lost their heads, and like we've seen Pickford scream his head off at Stones and at Maguire for not doing their jobs, but. Again, Maguire's doing exactly the same thing to Pickford when he goes to lose his head. And I mean, in the Denmark game, I thought he did lose his head because of the dodginess of some of his distribution and stuff. But I'm quite happy to keep it as it is. I trust Southgate at this point to get it right.
No, 100%.
No, we'll see.
Because in that Denmark game, one thing that we see is also like Saka helping out a lot more. And I think that's why he may start Saka. Not a dig on Grealish, but Grealish offers a level of defensive ability. And then after that, it's kind of just like, it kind of differs out. But I do agree. I do want to see a 4-2-3-1. I think there's enough protection from the midfield. That midfield was very disappointing against Denmark. I think me and Albert were talking about it. But hopefully that's just a one-off and, all refreshed for the final.
Yeah, with touching on from that, with Phillips and Rice, I thought they did struggle. I thought the team struggled, but I thought in the midfield area particularly did struggle against Denmark. But they sort of wrestled it back sort of after the first, I'd say 50, 60 minutes. They came more into the game, and they were saying that thing about Calvin Phillips ran about 15 kilometers apparently. I said, wow. I mean, he's a fit lad anyway. I know Bielsa's got them, you know, he's got them Leeds boys really, really fit. So now they grew into it, Phillips and Rice. I think at this stage now, there's not going to be many surprises. It's the final tomorrow. I don't know for you. I don't know for Lottie and Keith. I'm sort of asking you in terms of the Italian side. What have you made of them this tournament? And giving you a bit of context, really. I thought for the first time, listen, when you play a team like Spain, they're technically gifted anyway, so they're gonna keep more possession of the ball. So I actually thought they should have beat Italy, if I'm being honest. If Spain actually had a striker that could finish the goals, but there's hope for England there. But yeah, who for Italy for you is the danger guys who you're going to be sort of concerned about and looking out for? Kicking off with Keith.
I made a list of all the Italian players who've impressed me. This is ridiculous. Because like I said, there's no real stand-up. We all know Mancini's built this tremendous team ethic between them all. And I've listed Locatelli, Barella, Jorginho, Insigne, Chiesa, Belotti, Berardi, Immobile, other than his little antics that we spoke about before, Bonucci, Chiellini, and Donnarumma. I cannot believe. Yeah. See, I mean, the list is endless. I can't believe Donnarumma is 22 years old. You look at that bloke, it's like, as he 22, debut at 17. I think he's got like 32 caps.
Yeah, crazy.
And he has stuck out for me, which is weird because when I played, I was an attacking player. I don't normally focus on defenders or goalkeepers, but he seems so assured. Other than Italy did look very, very worried against Spain, and I'm much less concerned about Italy now than I was before the semi-final. And I agree, I thought Spain should have won, and I'm happier to be playing Italy than I would have been to be playing Spain. But Donnarumma, if anyone stood out for me, it's this guy, just because of how assured he is. And I'm concerned if it goes to penalties, he may well be the hero. To be fair, in the shootout against Spain, he didn't have to do anything with the first penalty because it was Chris Waddle special. And Morata's penalty was every bit as awful as Harry Kane's one against Denmark. But he's the one I'm worried about, and he's the one I would say has stuck out for me. I've been very, very impressed with him.
Yeah, well said. Before I come to you, I think for me, Spain should have beaten the semi-final. Italy losing Spinazzola is a big, big miss. Because Emerson's a solid dependable fullback, but he's not Spinazzola. He's nowhere near the kind of level he's going to bring to the Italians for an attacking sense. I mean, like Keith mentioned with the names, Bernardeschi, Belotti, you're not even Locatelli, don't even start. And before the start of the tournament, Pellegrini for Roma got injured. He didn't even start the tournament. So that's another one that's missing. But it's going to be tough tomorrow for England. I think the midfield battle is going to be immense. Phillips and Rice are going to have a massive test there with Jorginho. He's played well, and obviously you've got Barella in there. And Verratti's been top class for years. Superb midfield player. So yeah, Lottie, for you, who's a danger man for you, and who are you concerned about or worried about, shall I say? Can you hear me, Lottie? She's frozen. I was thinking, let me just wait a second till she's frozen. She's back. Lottie, I'm gonna bring you back in. Oh, she's back. Is she? I'm gonna let her come back in. Is she there? No, she's frozen again. But
she's been infected by my internet. That's what it is.
We'll come to Sol. Sol, do you want to pick it up from there, mate, in terms of Italy?
Yeah, no, I think I've been impressed with Italy overall, and I think a lot of the questions were similar to how England have been portrayed. Where have they been challenged? And that's obviously, I mean, Italy did play Belgium just before in an incredible game, probably one of the games of the tournament in terms of a footballing purist sense. But then they played Spain. And do you know what? It's weird because I know a lot of people are going to say they struggled, but I think both the finalists struggled in their semi-finals. I'm not going to say we struggled, but we didn't have the best performance against Denmark. And I don't think Italy had their best performance against Spain. So it's a bit of a strange one. We both seem to have just gotten over the line. And the one thing I'm quite happy with is the way we had our semi-final, and I said it in the stream. I'm happy that we conceded first because we've not done that. How can we bounce back from conceding first? And it was a superb response. Within 9 minutes, we scored the equaliser. And then obviously the game kind of had its moments. It just flowed. We didn't take our chances enough to beat them in the essentially in full time. And then extra time came along, and how would we cope with that? And we did magnificently well. Sterling stepping up. And then obviously we look at Italy now. Italy really couldn't handle the pressure that Spain brought to them. And that's one thing we can do. We've got a very fit midfield, and we've got a very high pressing midfield. And that's one thing we could be utilizing to our strengths. And the one thing that people are going to look, Jorginho is good when given time. And if England don't give him time, we can nullify an area of that pitch which is really important to them. And Lorenzo Messi, fam, like that guy has had an incredible tournament. He is the Italian Messi, in the way he plays, the technical ability, the very close dribbling that he's got. He can be a very good player. The only thing is, they don't have a clinical striker, in my opinion. I don't think their strikers have been standout. It's a lot of goals coming from everywhere but their strikers. So that's something which could be good for us. And one thing they don't have is pace. I guess one thing we could have, depending on how we set up, is pacing behind. Sterling loves to be on the shoulder of them defenders. They're going to take 2, 3, 4 steps backwards because once they get that one through ball, they're going to start being wary of how Sterling looks. Sterling's not clinical. That's the only sort of disadvantage to him. But he can get in behind that defence. Saka's done it multiple times for Arsenal. Let's just say it is them two that start. They're going to get in behind really easily. And Bonucci and Chiellini, as good as they are, the one area they lack is pace. So that's what we can use to our strength. And this is why, you know what? They're vulnerable, but they're good. And that's sort of, it's a weird thing to say because you don't use them in the same sentence, but they do have weaknesses which haven't been exploited yet.
Now, well said, Lottie. Let me bring you back in. Sorry, because I've got this, because we've got we've got more guests waiting in the background. But before we let you two guys go, Lottie, just asking you sort of danger men about Italy, because I thought, could you pause a little bit? But is any guys you're sort of worried about or looking out for that might hurt England?
Probably, I would have said Spinazzola, but thankfully he's injured. He's been brilliant for them. I think we're gonna have to watch out for Immobile's dramatics. That's for sure.
Oh,
and definitely that it has to be said. It has to be said. And also probably Locatelli for me. He's had a great tournament as well.
I'll tell you who I forgot. You just reminded me who I forgot. I think he's been exceptional. His dad was a brilliant, bloody good player as well.
Chiesa.
Chiesa's been excellent. Wow. 2 great goals during the tournament. Yeah, they've got guys that can hurt us. So sort of tomorrow's game now. So I'm going to get you two guys into thoughts in terms of score predictions. And do you think there's going to be, bit of a loaded question, do you think there's going to be any changes from the England side than the team that started against Denmark? I believe the only injury concern starting with Keith is Phil Foden, which is a minor foot injury, but we'll see. But with that, it's not a major worry, only because if he can give you 20, 30 minutes, that's, you're going to need them subs, and it's going to be vital how England utilise them. But yeah, Keith, score predictions and any differences with the England lineup from against Denmark for you, or not really?
I think if there was going to be any change, I love Calvin Phillips, and he's been one of our standout players for me. But he has got a booking in him, and if I can see that, I'm fairly certain the Italian management can see that as well. So if there was going to be any, I'd perhaps swap Henderson for him. But Phillips got such energy. I would keep everything exactly as it was. You got 2 teams who are very solid defensive units. Italy counter-attack brilliantly. We can counter-attack brilliantly, but we need to move the ball forward much, much quicker, because if we're too slow, they'll just get back in numbers. That's going to be the key to it. And it could be 0-0 penalties. It could be a lot of goals in it if both teams counter-attack. So I'm going 3-2 to England after extra time.
Ooh, wow.
Goals, my friends, goals.
Goals. I hope, you know what? I hope after the semi-final, before I come to after the semi-final, I said to a couple of my people, man, Harry Kane, go and put the guy in an ice bath. Don't make him do any training. Make him sit there and watch EastEnders reruns or whatever. Just get the guy fit for the battle against Chiellini and Bonucci. But yeah, Lottie, coming to you. Any sort of, do you see any drastic changes for the final? Not really. And yes, of course.
Not really. Not really. I'm happy with whatever he puts out, as I said earlier. But I'm going to stick with what I said last night on Cannon. I'm going 2-2 at full time, then 3-2 to England in the second half of added extra time.
Oh, it's going to be goals. I see. So, no, actually, no. So I'm going to ask you last. We're going to do this at the end of the show. We're not going to give away our score predictions yet because I'm going to stick with mine. But Lottie and Keith, I want to thank you for coming on for this preview. Yeah, preview for the final. Yeah, we've at least got. Me and Souls have at least got 2 more shows. We've got 2 more. So been amazing series. But yeah, Percy, give your channels a plug. Lottie, start with you.
If you want to come and find me, or you want to come and check out our content, you come find me on Cannon Chat, or you can come find me on Twitter. That's Lottie with 2 I's _B.
Yes, people, remember that's a very key detail. Otherwise, you won't find her. But, yeah, Keith, well, thank you for coming back again. Always love getting you on, mate.
Thanks for having me back. Really
where can the people find you, Keith?
You can find me on Twitter, either Keith at Arsenal or the Mad Rambling one. And I've got kind of a fledgling channel, it's kind of like my waistline. It's slowly growing. I've got about 33 subscribers at the moment. So feel free to have a look at that. And that's just called Mostly Arsenal, where I talk. Well, actually, it's mostly England at the moment. Yes. Talk about England and a few little random lifetime stories at the end, which hopefully are quite amusing to some people. So yeah, have a look if you can.
Yeah. Well said, Lottie and Keith, my 2 strikers. And you're both gooners. But yeah, tomorrow's a big day. Get your rest. Don't be too nervous. If you feel nervous, go for a long walk. Do what you do. Get fresh air. Do something.
I'll do that. I'll get some yoga in.
Definitely.
Of course. But, Keith, Lottie, thank you for coming on.
Cheers, guys. Enjoy the rest of the show.
Thank you.
Thank you. No worries. So, 2 down. We have 2 amazing people waiting in the back. Let me give them a billing first. We're going to start with my brother from another mother, because I've got many of those. Bring in Super Mad Mac, Gav Mac.
Hey, stop it. You say you just had your 2 strikers on. I'm not the one in behind, innit?
No, you're the midfield maestro.
Maestro without the legs. My legs.
The class of Perlo. The ease, the magnificent performance. But before I bring in my lovely, amazing second person to come on, you've got clearance. I had to speak to a couple of my boys, but because it's international level, she's smiling in the background because she knows what I mean. But it's safe for you to come on today because this is momentous. This is historic final. Bring in Holly Agambar, Souls.
Oh, wow. Not you.
I'm outnumbered tonight, isn't I? I'm outnumbered.
No, big up to Gav coming on. Gav, thanks for coming on for the review of the Denmark games. Great to get your insight, about the tournament so far and some of the amazing talents we've seen, to be honest, not just with England, but with some of the other nations as well. Holly, you're always welcome on this channel, of course, as well. So
love that.
But yeah, it's I'm going to start with Gav first, mate. So yeah, big game tomorrow. What's your thoughts and feelings in terms of how England are going to go about winning this game against a team that haven't lost in 34? I believe they haven't been behind in a game in over 2 years. How do England get over the line and win tomorrow?
First of all, big up the channel. Make sure everybody subscribe to Albert JTV if you haven't done it already. What are you doing? Sort it out. Look, as far as I'm concerned, it's a case of packing midfield. You have to pack the midfield because the energy in midfield for Italy is too much for pretty much any team to handle. And Spain did it right with Pedri and Sergio Busquets. They dealt with the midfield good and proper. So if you can, I honestly feel that we should almost like adopt like the Liverpool mentality a little bit in the game tomorrow. So like how Liverpool, that like I know they've got Thiago now, but really and truly, there's no superstars like world-class superstars that play for Liverpool. It's all about industry and work rate and energy in the middle of the park, isn't it? They get the ball, put it in the mixer, spray it out to the fullbacks or at front, don't they? That's what Liverpool do. So tomorrow, as far as I'm concerned, that's the approach that England needs to do. And when you do that, you can control the midfield. It doesn't matter whether you play. Rice and Phillips have to start. End of story.
Yeah, 100%.
They've done the job the whole way through, so it's not time for them to finish. For me personally, I'm putting Henderson in there as well, and I'm sacrificing Mount. I love Mason Mount, by the way. I really do. I think he's a super talent. But and even if I know it's a final, but Bellingham's played in big games as well, so there's no harm in playing him there either. As far as I'm concerned, the midfield battle is where it's going to be won and lost tomorrow. It's nothing to do with the defences, because England's defence has been super strong. The Italians' defence has been super strong. Both sets of keepers have been brilliant, and even like Jordan Pickford, he gets cussed out all the time. But for England, he has never put a foot wrong.
Yeah, that's why Southgate picks him. Exactly.
That's why Southgate picks him. He trusts him, innit? So like you can play like both goalkeepers are super strong, both defences are super strong. I feel like our forward line, in terms of individual talent, is better than the Italians' front line in terms of individual talent, but as a team effort, I think the Italians' front line is better than ours. So the midfield is where it's key. Work with it, deal with it. Don't play a man in behind. Just play 3 solid midfielders that could do the job, control the game, and England win that comfortably.
No, well said. Holly, I'm going to come to you. Bit of a different question, loaded question, not too loaded, but I'm sure you'll come out with a brilliant answer. Gareth Southgate has taken, I wouldn't even say a lot of criticism before the start of the tournament. I think he's taken a lot of criticism since England's semi-final in the World Cup. What did you make of Southgate before what have you made of his time as England manager, and how impressive you've been with what he's done with his England side for this tournament?
To be fair, every time he's put his squad out, I'm probably not the only one. I thought to myself, what on earth is he doing? But every time it's worked. Like, I just don't understand it. I don't even bother looking at the team sheet anymore, because I'm just thinking it looks a bit wacky, but it seems to have worked. That's just straight up how it is. It's a madness. In terms of obviously how the squad have all gelled together, I mean, we were speaking about it the other day with my mates. We were saying how unified the whole squad are. I mean, I've kind of seen it in the Premier League this year. I don't know about you guys, but derbies, I don't think they've necessarily been as fired up, because they're all mates. You see them after the game, they're all hugging and things, and you kind of see that paramount throughout this England squad. I think it's actually bringing them and gelling them all together. So like we've said about individual brilliance, I think it's more about how collective they are all together this time. It's not about, I'm going to say it, Harry Kane, that he's managing to pick up goals on the score sheet now. But it's more the fact that you see that Sterling's finding him, you see that Grealish is finding him, and they're all celebrating together. It's been a long time since you've seen that unison in an England squad, in a very long time. So the fact that Southgate's picking these crazy formations and things, and how you think to yourself, why is he playing instead of him? To then seeing that actually, I mean, take Grealish, for example, when he came on and then he was subbed off again. But you didn't see him creating about it. It was just like, yeah, that's fine, cool, sweet, whatever. And I think that's something that we haven't quite seen. So all credit to Southgate.
I think you've nailed it, because how many times we've seen interviews and stuff on TV when they're talking about the division, and it's like, oh, the Arsenal players sit, the Man United players sit together, the Liverpool players sit together.
Don't get me started.
There's no unison, there's no cohesion, because I'm not being funny. That between 2002 and 2006 squad is 10 times better, as far as I'm concerned, man for man, than the squad that we've got now. But if you haven't got any chemistry, what does it matter? It's like look at Real Madrid over the years. Like how many, like the Galactico era, because the Galactico era actually started after they won the Champions League in 2002. They weren't called Galacticos then. All they did is kept on buying talent, all load of individuals, no team cohesion. And this is what we've got now. I'll tell you what. I was going to go to bed about midnight last night, and I stayed up till about 2:00 watching the England football teams, like all the videos and stuff, and all the behind the scenes stuff, and just seeing how they're all gelling and jamming. And I'm not going to lie, I did get a little bit emotional.
No, listen, bro. We would have been there, but we're so shocked England were in the final. We didn't know what to do. But yeah, go on, bro.
It was just so. It was so refreshing seeing, like. It's just like you almost like you're flying the wall, just watching a load of mates playing football together. It didn't feel like the England national team. It felt like your local Sunday team almost. You know, like you all just get on and you just crack on and have a laugh and enjoy yourselves and stuff. And these play for rivals. There's like players that play for Liverpool and Man United and Man City. They all hate each other at the moment. Do you know what I mean? But as Holly said, that's all out the window now. Look at the image with Saka and Harry Kane all hugging each other and stuff. They love each other. You know, rivalry is completely out the window now. This is all about England as a nation, as a country, as players, and we all want to come together and make it. Come on, you know what I mean? It's just I'm on the hype. I mean,
Now, for real, if you heard me earlier say about Souls tweeted it about being emotional. I said it. If I see Saka come out tomorrow, it'd be amazing. You've heard my views very strongly about some of our fan base, Gav. Moaning and you know, he might get injured. No. We've got a player that's good enough to beat in this England first 11, and he's shown it. And Southgate's put faith in him. But so coming to Holly, I'm gonna do it deliberately because because Saka's one of our own. And I know you can take your your North London head off a little bit. What have you made of Saka? What do you make of Saka as the player? And what do you make of Saka as a player for England?
Phenomenal. That's it. Being a Spurs fan, I'm going to sit here and be a bit jealous because I am jealous. It is incredible. The way he just turns on that pitch and takes players on. You think yourself, how on earth have you done that, mate? The fact that he's so young as well, like, it's just incredible. And like you said, it's obviously good times for you in a sense that he's going to come back to the Prem and hopefully boss it up at Arsenal. That pains me to say it. But if he's delivering on the world stage, like a Euro stage, shall we say, imagine that next year in the World Cup as well. Imagine him in the Premier League. Like, it's going to give him so much confidence. And yeah, he is incredible.
Yeah. So before you bring in a question for Gavs and Holly, I know you probably want to come up with something. Well, I also wanted to ask you really, because I've not had a chance to speak to you about it. Me and Souls have spoken about it, and I've asked quite a few people in terms of, it's interesting to know in other countries whether they support, whether you're in Spain, you support Madrid, Barcelona, Valladolid, or Malaga, or whatever, or you're in France and you support Lille, Auxerre, or Montpellier, how they view their national team. Because in my own personal humble opinion, for some people that I've encountered, notably via social media, I don't particularly really think they care about England. And me and Coles are both guys of origin, but we was born and raised in England. So I've followed England for a very, very long time. So to see them in the final, I don't think I'd ever going to see it. Even when me and Sol's done this series for 2020, era content, we was obviously going to do content whoever's in the final, but we didn't ever think it was going to be England was going to be involved. I mean, it's crazy. So where do you stand on the sort of club? Not club versus country, but can you separate your love for your club and getting behind the national team?
Yeah, 100%. I think for me, it's got to be country over club, 100%. I mean, you see how awful Tottenham are anyway, so I'm always going to choose country at the moment.
Holly, we knew that anyway. But
True. I mean, to be honest, you guys are kind of on the same page anyway, so you can kind of see eye to eye with that. So, but yeah, like to see the likes of all of us celebrating together, regardless of whether you support Arsenal, regardless if you support Chelsea, I don't care if Saka scores like an overhead kick, I'll be the first one screaming his name at the top of my lungs. Like, it's just the way it is. And it's just so nice after everything that's happened with this whole COVID business. It's just so nice to see us all back together and we're all enjoying the moment. And like you said, we never thought we'd ever get this far. And the fact that we're now talking about being in a final tomorrow is just incredible.
Yeah, before Souls poses these questions, I said this to Gavs when Gavs came on my channel for the review for the Denmark game, and I love football, don't get me wrong, I love Arsenal, international tournament football, but I love other sports as well. And the thing is, I've been lucky enough to see the likes of Andy Murray represent Britain at a brilliant level at tennis. I've seen Kelly Holmes and represent Britain at 1500 800 meters in athletics. We've seen the England rugby side win the World Cup, in the 2000s, the women and the men. But for some reason with football, we just couldn't get over the line. And it's even now I still can't believe England in the final, but I can't wait for it. Yeah, so sorry, I know you want to pose a question to my amazing guests.
Yeah, no, I was going to say, like, in other countries, it actually is a lot better. I've got partly like Spanish family as well. They didn't care the fact that the Madrid fans, by the way, the Real Madrid fans, none of their players have gone to the Euros, and none of them gave a crap and still supported their team. Obviously, Italy, for example, they're like a transfer market, really. It's like they bought their players, and there's like 10 different teams or 11 different representatives that are within that team. And the thing is, you know what? If you can't differentiate England and your club, you've got a problem, firstly, that you need to go and solve. And secondly, football ain't the sport for you, because this is going to happen every 2 years. The Euros comes every 4 years, and then World Cup comes. So it's every 2 years you've got a major tournament to follow. So don't know what sport you're going to be watching to not be able to put that difference aside. But I guess what my question comes down to is, from England, who's going to be the difference maker? And for Italy, who's going to be the difference maker? It doesn't have to be the standout player of the tournament. It's just, who do you reckon will be the difference between winning it? It could be the hero of the final, but from both sides. I'll go to Mac first.
Matt, before you answer, bro, audio listeners on Spotify and Anchor will be getting an image up on screen of the England's last team, the England team against Denmark, and obviously Italy team against Spain. Sorry, Gav.
That's fine. So I've got to run straight away after this.
No worries, go on, bro. Go on, do your thing.
I'm still listening, by the way. I'm just juggling, doing a bit of juggle. But not necessarily star player, but the person who's going to stand out for me and for the Italians would be Jorginho, because Jorginho has been ever present in every game that we played so far. We've seen the midfield change on plenty of occasions already for the Italians. I mean, like, Verratti didn't start the first 2 games and has been ever present since. I think he's a key player, Verratti, but I feel like Jorginho has been pulling strings and making things happen consistently throughout the whole tournament, and I don't feel that there's going to be any change now. He's already a winner. He's just won the Champions League as well, so he knows how to play in big games. He knows what it's like to play as an underdog. And that's what's going to be happening tomorrow as well, because there's so many. It's hardly. I think there's only 1,000 Italian fans. The Italian FA have already issued 1,000 tickets, so it's not going to be great for them. And for England, I think it's all depending on how Sterling performs as well. So, like, with Sterling, I feel that I didn't show him the respect that he deserved in the first few games, because I wanted to see him more in the attacking third, making things happen in the final third. But then when you actually go back and watch the whole game back, the amount of energy and the amount of effort that he's putting in a defensive situation as well, he's going to be very important in terms of the tempo of the game, is going to be key to that, and how England attempt to dictate the match. So Sterling for me is the key man tomorrow, and then Jorginho is the key man for the Italians. Still listening, guys, but big up yourselves, all of you. And what was I going to say?
Subscribe.
One of the subscriptions at the moment. We're doing a plug on Monday, but for now, it's coming home.
Right, Gav, much love, man. People, go and follow Gav Mac and subscribe to Mad Mac channel, man. Please do.
Love that. All the best.
See you soon, bro. And now we was left with 3. We've got the Agum, but firstly, Holly, let me give you some plaudits for being the new BBC News star in the Agum bar.
In the Agum bar.
Yes, I'm very pleased, very happy to see that. Very happy to see that. but yeah, it's sort well, I want to ask you sort of coming away, talking about the tournament as a whole, really. What have you made of Euro 2020? And anybody, English and non-English players, that stood out for you?
Personally, let me have a think. I think for England, I think as much as, like Gav's already said, I gave Sterling a lot of hate, just to the fact that for me, he just runs with the ball and doesn't release the ball when you want him to release it. Do you know what I mean? He just carries on running. You're like, mate, you could have passed that 10 seconds ago. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But seeing him play and that game just gone, I thought, wow, how is he still running? It's like 100 and something minutes, and he
was phenomenal in extra time.
He was incredible. So for that, like, for me, I'll have to hold my hands up and say, Sterling, fair credit. You've kept me quiet. In terms of other teams, I think for me, as much as it pains me to say, and probably the media have said it so much, but obviously with Ericsson and everything that happened with Ericsson, obviously being a Spurs fan, and I've grown up with watching Ericsson. Like literally, I know no different really as that number 23 for us. And the way that Denmark carried themselves throughout the whole tournament, I think was incredible. And again, obviously, I was a bit sad they went out. Obviously, I'm over the moon that England beat them. But in that kind of sense, I think it was just amazing the comradeship that they went through to get over the line, to keep going to the next round. So for me, I'd have to say Denmark as a whole. There's no real individual player from that squad, I'd have to say.
Yeah, Holly, coming to you again, Souls, you could probably answer this as well. Holly, with England, as I mentioned earlier, I've seen Gaz mentioned it. There have been some better England sides. There's nothing against this crop of players now, but has it sunk in for you yet that England are actually in the major final? Because it's been, let's get into context here. They hadn't beaten Germany in a knockout stage of a tournament since '66. Before the start of the tournament, they hadn't won an They hadn't won an opening game in the European Championships in their history. We hadn't been to a semi-final of the European Championship since 25 years ago when Southgate was playing. There's a lot of variables that I think even now, sort of doing this preview of you guys, it hasn't sunk in yet still for me. For some fans, it might have done already, but it hasn't. That's why when me and Souls and RJ done the watch along, it wasn't that we wasn't happy or we were subdued. It was the fact that if you're not used to something, it's very difficult to comprehend what's happened. And that's how I felt after the final. So of semi-final. So that's why I felt a bit emotional. So in your time as an England fan and watching England, what sort of your memories before obviously England being in a final tomorrow? What was the good bits?
Well, to be fair, it's just gone so fast. You haven't been able to digest it as it's gone along. Like you said, it's a madness to think we're in a final tomorrow of a major competition. Like, it's incredible. The fact that obviously, I think the last time I really got behind the team was obviously in that World Cup when we got beat by Croatia in the what's that? And I was just thinking to myself, how are we going to overcome that? And then to face Germany, you're already thinking, it's probably our time to bow down, to go out. And then we beat them and you're like, what's going on here? So, yeah, I think it's just a mentality thing. Obviously, bring it up again, being Spurs, you're kind of used to losing all the time. You're kind of used to dropping out of
Holly,
cup finals.
me and Souls didn't say anything. People in the chat, we was completely silent.
I knew it was coming though. But the fact that Harry Kane has got to a final and hopefully this is the time he's going to win something. And I hope it is, because from a Spurs perspective, I'm bringing it up again, I just want him to win something. But to win it on a world stage, in the Euro stage, that would be incredible for him. Yeah, that would be mad for him.
No, you know what? You've brought up something. I'm glad you mentioned that. So I was going to ask you earlier. I was sort of thinking and I was trying to look through and Google it. And Roy Keane mentioned this 3 years ago when he was on the studio for the Croatia-England semi-final. And obviously England lost to Croatia and we disappointed and whatever. But he made a good point. There's not many footballers who have a career where their first piece of silverware is a major tournament. I don't know any player that's done that, unless people in the chat know or do their research. But it would be incredible, if you look at it, just if you take off your club allegiances, that if it goes well tomorrow for England, that will be his first major trophy. We'll be picking up the European Championship. That, to me, that's crazy. There's not many footballers that will ever experience that. There's going to be players like, no disrespect to Leeds, Calvin Phillips. I'm sure he's won promotions and whatever, but this absolutely dwarfs that. Yes, Stones has won Premier Leagues and, various players in the England side have won major honours, but to win something for your national team. So it's coming to you. It's when you think about what Holly was saying about Kane, it's true. Like, there's not many footballers that will have that in their locker or CV.
Yeah, welcome to the modern age, the new age of football, where clubs don't define if you're going to play for the national team. That's as simple as it gets. Look at the amount of major nations. So even Germany, for example, they've got teams who don't really perform well. They've got players from clubs who aren't performing well. And that's the difference between maybe even 10, 15 years ago to now. Look at Italy's a prime example of 10 different teams are representing them. For them, it's going to be like Locatelli, for example. He's not won a major honour and this is going to be his first major honor. Like,
Right.
Phillips, for example, first major honor. Bukayo Saka, first major honor.
Yeah.
You look at
Mad.
well, actually, Trippier's got lucky because he won a major honor just now when he won the La Liga with Atletico.
Yeah.
But it's mad. Like Mings, for example, first major honor is going to be, and this is the thing. And look, this is the difference now that we're seeing is the difference in quality from individual players. It's not a lot, and managers are now seeing that it's not all about United. It's not all about Man City now. It's not all about Liverpool. It's not all about Arsenal. Or even Spurs, obviously coming into. It's about Aston Villa. Look, Ben White's there as well. Actually, completely forgot. Yeah, Ben White's going to win one as well. So it's crazy to see that, and I think and they're the teams who are now performing really well. Like Germany were the only unfortunate one. They had Atalanta. Like normally it's Bayern Munich and Dortmund, and that's pretty much their team made. And they've had like people from Serie A coming in now. So it's just a new dawn of football, and how you've got to be ready and you've got to be an athlete first before you become a footballer. And that's what we're seeing. That the scope is so large. Phillips actually made his debut whilst he was in the Championship. Like that's unheard of. I can't remember the last time that a non-top flight player represented a top nation, let alone England. Like, a league, like not the Bundesliga, for example, Bundesliga 2 or the Serie B or the what's the La Liga second division. Like, it's unheard of. Unless it's just a play to make a number because you're that small of a nation. Like, it doesn't happen. And it's credit to these new age managers who are actually going out there researching what they need, and they're plucking holes in the team. And that's what it's like. Nations are now looking at it like a transfer window, but obviously they know they're limited to the players of their nations, and it's a credit to them. Like Mancini, even Southgate, he's forgetting about the egos. He's forgetting about the beginning. Like, the big exclusion was Greenwood. Like, I know there's reasons behind it in terms of he could have been injured. There's a slight knock with him, is what was reported at the beginning of the selection process. Trent was about to miss out. Obviously, he completely missed out due to injury. But he wasn't initially part of it, but he caved into the pressure and put him in. That's my opinion on the. And it goes to show, like, and one thing I do want to say, Southgate as well, and Mancini, well, Mancini less so, but Southgate has gotten so much stick for his selection, but he's the epitome of believe in yourself and believe in the decision you're making, and dreams will come true. And it's just mad to see. But I think that's purely the reasons why we're seeing so many more potentially players winning their first honours, being a national trophy.
Yeah, well said. Guys, we are at the end of the show. Me and Souls will have minimum 2 more shows to go. So hopefully it'll go well. But I want to big thank you to my amazing guests. But before we lock off and get score predictions from Holly and Souls, this is what you should do. And there you have it, people. Send your virtual hugs in the chat and goodbyes and whatever, and hugs, whatever you want to do. Score prediction, Holly's now you got to go, and Souls, and we've got enjoy our evening. But Holly, score prediction for tomorrow.
2-1, extra time. I think that's how it's going to go. I don't want to sit on a 1-0 because it'll just stress me out too much. I reckon a 2-1 to us, obviously.
Souls, to you?
2-0. It's coming home. We're bringing it home. There's nothing else, mate. It's wartime, innit? That's what I said. Get ready for war. You know what it is? The reason I say it with logic, because Southgate said before going into Denmark that we've not celebrated like we have before, in terms of they haven't celebrated these wins. So as long as they do that again, we focus. We've got enough time to recover. No extra time. We're doing it in the 90. And guess who's going to win it? Guess who's going to win it? Bukayo Saka is going to get that winning goal.
Holly, give your channel a plug before we go. Sorry.
Oh, that's right. Oh, this way. No, this way. This way.
The other way. That's the way.
That
That's
way.
it.
Just my name. That's it. Just type it into YouTube and you'll find me. But enough about me. Make sure you subscribe to this channel.
Your second channel,
Oh, thank
BBC,
you.
is it? BBC News. Or
BBC. Oh dear.
Now, Holly, listen. Like I said, you're always welcome on my channel. I love you to pieces, even though you support the bloody other lot, but it's fine. People, like I said, I'm the host, Albert JTV. Oh yeah, score prediction: 2-1 England in extra time, and I think it would be fitting for Sterling to get the winning goal. It would actually be unbelievable. So people, there you have it. Big game tomorrow. Get your rest. Get your Saturday night takeaways in. That is me, Albert JTV, over and out. Hashtag England versus Italy. 3 Lions versus the mighty Azzurri. Come on, England.
Come on.